Hi and welcome back to a boat called Wanda. Well, this is a case of 2 steps forwards and 1 step backwards, unfortunately, because here I am again, all suited up, all sheeted up inside, and back to the very arduous process of grinding. So just as I thought I'd finally finished when I'd applied the flow coat to the interior, I'd had a second look back behind the nav station and further back towards the aft cabin, which is an area where there's absolutely no indication on the top sides of any damage, but unfortunately right down below under the waterline there's a few other areas of impact where the delamination has occurred, and so now I need to tackle that. So now I'll just take you back through some footage to show you a little bit more detail about what I found and what I need to do next. I'd actually been really pleased with the progress I was making here on Wanda, particularly with the inside interior shell repairs. So everything was going great until I was looking at the outside of the boat, the outside of the hull, just around the waterline or below the waterline, which is an area that we didn't look at too carefully. And what I found right at the back of this cabinet, which is the navigation table, is almost like a puncture where the fibres have shattered all the way through. So if you look at where that stain is coming from, right there you can see that there's this crack. Now I can't really get to that easily because it's all the way at the back of this cabinet, which is really quite thin. It's about 30 centimeters across. So what it means is I'm going to have to actually remove this entire nav station. You might remember in a previous update that I'd actually disassembled as much of this as I could so that I could get to that bottom section. And the problem is this is actually tabbed in the back corner there. So it has fiberglass tabbing back into the shell. So it means I'm going to have to break through that tabbing so I can release this tabletop. And then I can get right to the back over here. And maybe about 100 mil down from the top here is where that issue is. So that needs to be worked on. I then had a look at the back of this cupboard, which is positioned just behind the nav's table. Once I'd moved a whole heap of junk out of the way, I then noticed right at the back, sure enough, here's another crack in the tabbing. And if I follow this up, I can see that once again I've got a delaminated bulkhead. I'd always assumed that all of the damage was ahead of the nav station table, but just from looking at the outside of the hull again, you know, I could kind of see that there was something not quite right back here. There's a whole heap of filler, probably round about there, just on the waterline. So, you know, back to cabinet disassembly, I'm afraid, and just when I thought we'd completed the shell repairs, you know, after getting all this flow coated and thinking, great, this is done now, that's one thing out of the way. It's a whole heap of new issues over here, a whole section of new paint. But, you know, at least it's given me an excuse to do what I've wanted to do for a while but haven't had time to, which is basically unload all of these cupboards, because I've just been moving everything back aft. Unload all these cupboards, get everything out of the boat, disassemble it, and have a great view of everything so that you know, no stones left unturned. So a slight detour for the next couple of days. Okay, well we can get a slightly better look inside this cupboard now. Starting with here, there's quite a nasty stress crack. Hopefully you can see those cracks there in the gel coat or in the flow coat. So I need to grind this back to see what's underneath, if there's like smashed fibres, which I suspect there are. Then going further up, we've got a very localised crack there where we've got fibres have actually pushed through the flow coat, so something's given that a real knock, something sharp has punctured it by the looks. We've got a little bit of, I don't know if you can see that, a little bit of tabbing that's broken, busted there against the bulkhead. Of course we've got this main delamination there, if you can see that. So, oh, and then over here as well was something else, like there's another little localized area where all the flow coat's been pushed away. It's like something's come through to puncture it. So there's quite a lot of work to do in this little cabinet. And then I think what we see further up on the top half, so there's a crack there in that bulkhead tabbing, same as like the main bulkheads. So that will need to be ground back and re-tabbed. I think that's the only issue I can see up the top here. So I need to remove this seacock, get rid of these pipes. As per usual, there's a plethora of cables that go nowhere, or duplicates, or connectors that just end like that. So I'll get rid of all of that. There's an old radio unit here, which I'll get rid of, and try and get a bit more room in this cabinet to work, because we'll need to get a grinder in here and at least get all of the flow coat back, if not grind out patches where the fibres have been busted up because of the impact. Well, I've had a bit of a tidy up here. Not that it looks like it, but I've lifted up all that carpet all the way to the aft cabin. I've left it there because I just need to concentrate on this part for the moment. And I've lifted it up from that side there, which is where the stool for the nav station is. Eventually what I want to do here is, instead of putting carpet back, is actually put some slatted battens back to have battens of wood going across that way rather than the carpet. That should help it, make it easier to maintain cables and things as well. Okay, so basically everything's exposed now. I need to grind away on that, I don't know what to call it, it's almost like a puncture there. This side looks good. I need to get rid of all this contact cement residue, so that I can see what's behind it in case there's any more stress cracks in the hull. I just want to take back a little bit more of this. I'll probably take all that flow coat off actually. Oh, maybe not. And then cupboard. Grind that backing plate off. Deal with that delamination there on the tab. Big spider crack there, as you can see. And then this one's pretty minor, but just a little split in the tabbing there, little crack there in that bulkhead tabbing. So again, I'll take that back to fix that. And then I've got the cabin sole bearers. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that side. So from here, what I need to do is just once again start to tape everything up so that I can lift up these boards and get to those little bits and pieces of tabbing, and probably sheet up around here as well, just to protect this area so that when I'm working on this cupboard the dust is contained. Okay, time for a break. I'll come back to this after. Okay, so I've got this side sheeted up again. And that was easy, just one big square over there to protect all the work that's been complete with that flow coat on. And then back here I've got everything covered in plastic. I need to be really careful with the instrument panel here and make sure that there's no dust that can get up there into the electrics and into the switches. So all that's left now is on the starboard side settee. It's this water maker which I had a quick look at a while ago, but I wasn't quite ready to tackle it. What I did was cut off all the old water hoses when I did the water hose removal. So there it is. This will need to come out obviously so that I can get to the bottom. And really it's so that I can check the bottom of the cell bearers and retap them as I'm retapping all the port side cell bearers. But it's kind of difficult to get a look, so I don't really know if they're okay. You can kind of see the top of that one down there. And it does look like it's delaminated a little bit there, as you can see from that line, but it's not too bad, so I don't know if I'm kind of wasting my time by doing this or not, because it's going to add another bit of complexity to the work. But you know, I figure if I don't do this, I'll never know what's underneath all this, so I guess it's time to bite the bullet. So yeah, tools out, dismantle, remove, and get back to this.